Hi everyone, welcome back for another episode of Commanding the Market. I'm your host, the MTG Librarian, Nathan Hale, and I am joined by, you guessed it, Trent Richardson.
Hey, Hale, how's it going? Another week, another fun time. We got pre-release weekend upon us for Commander Legends. But first, man, I'm excited because last week we talked about a card, and guys, if you didn't hit on this card, and if this happened after Monday, so on Wednesday this week,
or this past week,
yeah, the Wednesday after you saw the last video, Psychic Vortex had a major jump. I think we were sitting at about, what was the price?
Well, the mid was at 22 that day. So a couple days after our last video, mid was sitting around 22. Market didn't quite reach there. In fact, the mid is still, I think, sitting around 17 to 19. The market's a bit less than that, but yeah, huge spike. What's the market now?
Do you remember what it was the day?
Oh, when we recorded, it was like 750 roughly.
Yeah, 750. Yeah. So we had a double up since then. Because I think today we're sitting at 13 on the market.
1371.
Yeah, well, almost $14. So almost a double up in a week, guys. And hopefully you guys jumped on the train and rode it to Happy Town. But if you didn't, sorry.
And this is reserve list, so there's no reprint of this in sight, period.
Never. But man, we got a pretty sweet show. So today we're doing something we typically don't do. Typically we like to just kind of, spec on any and all cards, no matter what, and we're really looking to spec and really dive into what's going to see the most play in the most decks. Today, with Commander Legends coming out, we thought we would kind of change up the game plan a little bit. So we've each chosen one commander.
Actually, I picked two because I'm
okay, so you chose two, I chose one. We got three commanders we're going to talk about today from Commander Legends, and we're going to talk about some cards that have some good synergies in those specific decks and make some specs based on that and that alone. So, we'll see what happens, guys. And, this is kind of like an experimental type of thing to see kind of where the market goes. And it's always a changing game, guys. You never know. There's no formula for this. So, if some of these picks work out, great. If they don't, well, now we know. So why don't you go ahead and start us off with the first one, which is my personal favorite from the set. So
I'm also a big fan of this. We mentioned her last week as well with a different spec. In fact, the spec we were just referring to was Psychic Vortex. But there's another card, while not reserve list, has also been going up, quite a few in fact, since the spoiling of this card. Obeka, Brute Chronologist. She is a legendary 3/4 Ogre Wizard for 1 in Grixis, so blue, red, black, and a colorless. With the ability of tap, the player whose turn it is may end the turn. Exiles all spells and abilities that are on the stack when you do this. So it's kind of like a counter spell so long as it's your turn or the person you're doing it on wants the turn to end right then. And there are definitely situations when your opponent will be like, yes, please end my turn. If they're getting board wiped, if someone's settling the wreckage on them on their combat steps, something like that, they may very well want you to end the turn for them. But typically, this is EDH. You're going to do it when it's in your best interest.
Right.
But something I've found with EDH is a lot of times the commander is a removal magnet. So a lot of players know the second they see that commander hit the board, any commander, it's either I know what it can do, I need to get rid of it, or I don't know what it can do, I need to get rid of it. Yeah. So it becomes typically target number 1 against most opponents.
Mm-hmm.
So you typically need to build in redundancies so that even if your commander doesn't stay in play, you're able to still pull off what you're trying to do with the deck. And that's where a very important card comes into play, because it's pretty much the only other one off the top of my head I can think of that can do this outside of Time Stop.
Well, so there's also one red card from Amonkhet, I believe, that ends the turn.
I don't know that one, but it could be because it's red.
Yeah.
But it would probably be good to play in this. Anything that gives you redundancy, but redundancy that's recurable.
While you talk, I'm going to look it up.
All right. Well, redundancy that is recurable. In this case, we're talking about an artifact, Sundial of the Infinite, which at the time it came out in M12, I was during that period not playing, but I've heard it was a bit of a meme at the time. And has since people have started to realize there's actually quite a bit of power to be had in that card. Now, Sundial of the Infinite is only played in about 4,000 decks in EDH currently. I expect that number to go up with Obeka and another of the commanders we'll be talking about today. Now, the TCG market on Sundial, and Sundial, it's 2 colorless for an artifact. 1 tap into the turn, activate this ability only if it's your turn. And again, exile all effects and spells on the stack. Now, TCG Market is currently 322 with a mid of 354. Card Kingdom has it at 349, completely out of stock. Now, Star City Games has it at 249, completely out of stock. Channel Fireball does have it in stock and at 270, while TCG Near Mint Bulk is as low as $3.14. So Channel Fireball, if you're looking bulk, is currently your best bet that I found out there. Now, this card was reprinted in Mystery Boosters in foil only as one of those 113 or some cards that replaced the concept cards. The foil one from that is going for around the same price roughly. So if you're really into foil, you may consider that. If that's something for you. They're about equitable on the price currently. Now, just in the past week, this card has jumped 15%.
Yeah.
And, I think that's just a direct follow-up to what we've seen with cards like Final Fortune and Last Chance that have been seeing huge gains recently because of this commander, Obeka. So as people are looking at what they're going to put in there, they're looking at cards they want to go in the deck to do the same thing. And with that in mind, I didn't look into it, but I would consider looking at Time Stop and also this red one, if you can find the name of it.
Glorious End. So
Glorious End.
Glorious End does have a caveat that you lose the game at the beginning of your next end step. So
Wait. Read Glorious End.
It says it's 2 and a red instant, I believe. Yeah, 2 and a red instant in the turn. At the beginning of your next end step, you lose the game. So
risky on that one. Well, more risky than
it is risky. But it is a last stop if you're, if you've lost your commander, if you've lost your sundial and you need one more turn to win the game and your opponent's about to do something that's going to stop you from doing that.
And this can end anybody's turn. So
yeah. So it's there's a few in the turn cards out there. I think one just came out in the most recent set, Zendikar, right? It was like a blue in the turn spell.
I don't recall. Yeah. Let us know if you recall in the turn. Now, the one that comes to mind for me is Time Stop from Kamigawa block, which is like a 6-mana instant in the turn, and you can do that on your opponent's turn, and same effect, exile all the effects on the stack. I I think all these cards will be potentially targets to go into Obeka decks. And Obeka's one of the more talked about commanders from this set that I think people are excited to build, as they're seeing now a commander that fits into this very niche but new theme, which is end the turn at random points, or not lose because I'm taking an extra turn in red.
Right.
Which is weird. I mean, not weird that she's in blue makes sense with time walking, essentially, but also that you have so many time walking options, yet she's trying to cheat that out on the mana cost. I don't know. She's an interesting commander in Grixis that's not like any other Grixis commander I've ever seen, and she kind of jumped out at me as one I'm interested in.
For sure. Me too.
Much like the next one here we're going to talk about, also interested me. You want to introduce her?
Yeah, so Araumi of the Dead Tide is a 1 in Dimir, so 1 in a blue and a black for a legendary merfolk wizard. It's on a 1/4 body. And bear with me while I read this novel here. So its ability is tap, exile cards from your graveyard equal to the number of opponents you have. Target creature card in your graveyard gains Encore until end of turn. The Encore cost is equal to its mana cost. And for those of you who don't know yet, Encore is a pretty sweet ability, and here's what it does. Encore is exile the creature card and pay its mana cost. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. They gain haste, and then you sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step, and you can only do this ability as a sorcery. So, essentially, you just get to pay for your creature's mana cost out of the graveyard as a flashback, except for it comes back in with haste and attacking. Not just one copy.
Well, not attacking, but has to attack, in theory, unless you're your second maid.
Plus 2 other copies, potentially, if you're playing with 4 people. So, pretty sweet card.
ETBs are the name of the game, and there's one other thing I want to point out about this commander that is really sweet, like that makes the ability Encore so good in my opinion. The creature at the end of the next end step is sacrificed, not exiled, which is very important because that means now you get triggers for leaving play, for death triggers.
No. Well, yeah, you do get death triggers for the tokens. I thought you meant the original copy.
No, the original's actually gone. It's exiled, if I recall. Actually, is it?
Yeah, that's correct. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. No, actually, it's not. You can keep doing it. It exiles other cards.
No, you have to exile the original.
Oh, is that copy. Oh, yeah, that's how the Encore. Yeah. Never mind. I thought originally how does it work? I just read this body of text and thought I misread the first time. I didn't. So yes. But yeah, just something like this with, a simple, Fleshbag Marauder. It's going to come in. Each of your opponents is going to sacrifice 3 creatures. You have to sacrifice 3. Well, you just sacrifice the 3 you just made. If you doubling this with anything like a Dictate or Grey Pact effect, they're now losing 6 creatures each for the cost of 3 cards from your yard and 3 mana. So good. Now, that got me thinking, what are some cards you could just instantly go pretty busted with? And
I can think of one off the top of my head. Maybe Agent of Treachery?
That seems like a choice pick.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only so good it got banned in Standard.
Yeah. I mean, seems pretty good, right?
Oh, yeah. So tell us about Ancient of Treachery and how it's been doing.
Well, even though it is, was banned in Standard, it saw a dip from that. But now that we've got Araumi around, we're making a little comeback here. So currently, TCG Market is $4.87.
Oh, how many decks is it played in currently?
Oh, over 9,000. But I still think that's way too low.
Yeah.
I believe that is entirely too low. We got TCG Market at $4.87. Mid is $4.98. Card Kingdom only has 2 in stock at $6.99. Star City Games out of stock on all versions at $5.99, and CFB.
Whew, look at that.
$3.20 and 6 in stock.
Wow.
That's insane. You can get these light play bulk as low as $3.91 on TCG, but not very many of them available at that price.
Channel Fireballs where you want to go to scoop these up.
Definitely. And you know what? I bet they've got a bajillion of them sitting around too. This 6 in stock, I know that CFB's they only put 8 in stock of a card at a time.
Yeah.
So I know I've got quite a few Agent of Treacheries just because I opened in 20 like crazy. I've drafted a lot.
Good set. Such a good set.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for those of you like me who are sitting on sealed of M20, good job. It's currently one of the most valuable core sets until you hit M12 or M11. You have to go back that far to find a set worth more. In fact, I think its set EV is currently higher than everything back to the previous standard,
edition, right?
Well, of all standard decks, like box EV, we're just talking straight up. You crack it, value you get out of it. It's insane on M20. Anyway, so yeah, one thing about this, like, you know, with Araumi, another good option for Araumi actually is the aforementioned Sundial of the Infinite, which is kind of cool. This Sundial of the Infinite was mentioned not once but twice in recent episodes of the Command Zone podcast, as quite a few of the commanders, in particular this effect of Encore, is particularly good with Sundial because it can preempt you having to actually sacrifice those creatures at end of turn. Which can be very strong.
Yeah. Super sick. It can also, so Sundial is also a card that now people may want to start playing in their decks with this Encore ability available out there. I mean, now you can take the Encore ability off the stack, you know? So... yeah, just Agent of Treachery played from your yard, and with a deck like Araumi, you're going to want to fill your yard up because you're going to have to exile cards to play the creatures out of there. So you're going to play with a lot of things to self-mill. Surveil would be not a bad mechanic to run in Araumi. And with something like Agent of Treachery, if you're able to then end the turn and keep the 3 copies of Agent of Treachery in play, say you cast in your second main so they don't have to swing, you're going to take 3 permanents and then you're going to draw 9 cards. Because at end of turn, at the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. Each one of those is going to trigger. You'll draw 9 cards and have taken 3 permanents from your opponents. Yeah.
That's a bit of value.
Just a tiny bit, you know, not a whole lot.
And he's already popular in very popular commander decks. Yark the Desecrated, he's got like 3,400 decks. He's like the 8th ranked commander out there on EDH Rec. Rune of the Hidden Realm, I have both of those decks actually. I'm very fond of both of them. He's over 1,200 decks for Rune. Brago, King Eternal, any of these decks that can flicker or get additional value off the ETB. They love them.
I play it in Tulane. I mean, it's super good in my Tulane deck, but my Tulane deck is like a blink flash flicker style deck. So I get lots of value off of Agent of Treachery as soon as he comes into play. So,
oh yeah. And you know, back when this card got banned, which was only back in June of this year, near the end of the standard rotation, this card was at $13. $13. And it's now like the price dropped back down after the banning down to about $4.30 back in August, and it's been climbing the past couple months to where it is now at $4.87 on the market. Now's the time to get this card if you want it. And to be honest, it's good in so many decks.
Yeah, and I don't know why you wouldn't want to play this card in a blue deck.
Yeah, pretty much, in my opinion, most decks that are in blue would want to run this. There's a few that are so fine-tuned on their theme that they wouldn't go that direction. But if you're looking for just a good value creature in blue, this is it. Like, people, I think, see the body and maybe go, 2-3 for 7 doesn't see it doesn't matter. The body is irrelevant. It could have been a 1/1. It would have been irrelevant. It's the effect you're getting, and then the fact that you can abuse it to get Ancestral Recall at the beginning of each end step.
Sick.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, Lightning Greaves are a thing, guys. And who even cares? Like, let it go to the graveyard. I'll just get it back and do it again.
Yeah. If you've got Araumi, just okay, fine. I'll just triple the effect now.
It's so good. So good. And I'm kind of shocked. I didn't know it had fallen this hard. I thought it was only lost about half of its value, down to about 6 or 7. But seeing it on CFB for 320, I mean, that's fantastic.
This one and Field of the Dead were two that when they got banned, I was really curious about how they were going to continue doing. Because I've got a fair amount of Field of Ancient of Treachery, including foil ones. Because I loved the card. Like, I literally cracked it, Yurlok, and Shared Summons in the sealed I did for pre-release.
Nice.
And I was just like, this is insane. I was literally like, I'm building Yurlok, and the first deck a card that is going into it is Agent of Treachery. I still have that deck. It's one of my favorite decks to this day. So I kept an eye on this, and I kept an eye. I remember then it was super cheap when I picked it up because nobody thought anything of it. They were like, it was bulk rare.
Yeah, it was a buck. Yeah.
And of course, Field of the Dead was never bulk. I expected Field was going to drop more than it did, and when it got banned, and sadly it dropped for like a day. But I did all right with picking up Agent. I didn't do so well with Field. I'm going to talk about this next one here because we're on the whole M20 train, and while this one kind of breaks slightly from our theme of Commander Legends, Commanders, staples, or cards that should go in there, this is still, I think, needs worth mentioning because I think it's a good pickup right now.
Not allowed in this episode, Hill. Not allowed.
Oh, never mind. You'll just have to wait till later when it's gone up in price. This card has two things that amaze me about it. One, that it's not mythic. And two, I forgot what 2 was. Screw 2. We don't need 2. I'm just amazed this is not mythic. And the card I'm talking about is Vilis, Broker of Blood. Or Breaker of Games. Because he breaks games. He is an 8/8 flying demon for 3 black and 5 colorless. He's legendary, so he can be your commander, and he is often run actually as a commander. I think he's in the top 300 of commanders out there. He has the ability of pay a black and pay 2 life. Target creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn. Meh, whatever. The real ability you're interested in is whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. I can't tell you the number of times this guy's just resolved and you just win. Because you're like, okay, I'm going to start paying life to my Necropotence, start paying life to my Keurig, start paying life to my whatever, it doesn't matter, or his own built-in.
Yeah.
And you just draw. Your hand just explodes. Now, currently, this...
Is Yawgmoth Bargain banned in Commander?
Bargain's banned. Will is not, but Bargain's banned. So, he is played in over 10,000 EDH decks. And his market price is $2.60. Sorry, $2.67, and his mid is $2.55. Now, this is where it gets exciting, right? We got Card Kingdom at $3.49, out of stock. Star City Games, $2.99, out of stock. All versions. This was only the one printing, but you had your promo, your Planeswalker special pack, whatever. They're out of every version. And Channel Fireball has them in stock at $2.70. But TCG has near mint bulk as low as $1.75, but not too many at that price. Now, in the past 6 weeks alone, this card has jumped 30% in price. Aside from it being a good commander in its own right, he's popular with Keurig. I mean, he's like the go-to card in Keurig. Because he and Keurig you win. Because Keurig's going to let you pay life for black mana, which means you'll draw cards, which means you'll pay them, and then all you need is something like Aetherflux Reservoir, and you just draw your deck and win.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. Greven, Predator Captain, who likes to sack life to pump him up, so losing life with Greven, and then you're going to be drawing. And I run him in my Oloro. I run him in pretty much every deck I run black in. Not every, but probably about 4 decks I run black in that I'm able to pay life for stuff. So good. And my personal pairing I really love with this card is Necropotence.
Yeah.
Because with Necropotence, you can pay that life, immediately get those cards, and then get the ones at the end of turn that you've set aside. So much value. It's 2 for 1 on that life that you pay with Necropotence. So powerful, so easy to draw your deck when you consider you start with 40 life, and if you're getting 2 for 1 on this, just a splash of life gain, and you've drawn your deck.
Yep. Yeah, Necropotence is the first thing that came to mind when this card came out from Core 20, but yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
Super sick.
And I'm still amazed he is this low, that he is still under $3 and played in over 10,000 decks. And like I said, the other thing that amazes me, he's not a mythic. He's a rare, which surprises me. His power level to me says mythic. Maybe I'm crazy.
I mean, a lot of times, yeah, it would be, but with that triple black mana cost, maybe.
But you look at like some of the other Razaketh, and because I believe Razaketh was mythic. The demons from the previous, that were all in the pact with Liliana, which I don't think Vilis was. I don't recall if he was one of them. I really don't remember.
Sure.
But I believe they were mythics in like Razaketh, who was also really good. Lets you sack a creature, pay some mana, and tutor. He's another one I picked up earlier when he was like $6-7, and now he's like close to 20.
Right.
But yeah, I've always been surprised this guy is not actually mythic. But that aside, he's still a really good card, and one I highly recommend picking up, especially at that current price point. Getting it bulk, $1.75 on TCG. Scoop it up.
For sure.
So tell us about this commander you got so much interest in here.
So this is my second favorite commander from Commander Legends to brew with. And I mean, there's only one way to brew with this guy. I mean, this is super techie here. But Yurlok of Scorch Thrash.
Burn, baby, burn. It's back.
Mana Burn is back. So that's what I'm most excited about, because you and I remember a time when Mana Burn was a thing. And when I got back into Magic, and I think when you got back into Magic, you were probably just as surprised as I was that Mana Burn wasn't a thing.
I'm trying to remember when they got rid of it, because it may have happened when I owned the game store, but I can't quite remember when they dropped the Mana Burn rule, if you will, or mechanic. I'm not sure how you'd refer to that. I can't remember quite when it dropped, but I do remember that was one of the biggest changes to Magic. And I remember the debates over it, like, well, now people can just be sloppy with their mana use, and now people are just going to say, I make infinite mana all the time, rather than go, I make 112, because I can exactly pay for that with all this stuff here. Yeah. And people said, well, maybe it made Magic lazier. I think it just made Magic easier on the math, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it did make it easier on the math, but it's back.
Nostalgia, baby.
Nostalgia. And damage not stacking. That's another thing I miss. Damage not stacking.
Not using the stack, you mean? Oh, I used to abuse that with Elvish Farmer and Saprolines. Because they'd be like, I block with Saprolines, damage on the stack, I sacrifice to gain 2 life.
Yeah, block sack, damage still on the stack. I mean, that was a great play, you know.
Back when I was a kid, we used to really.
Yeah, back when Sakura Tribe Elder was a brand new kid on the block in Kamigawa.
Steve.
But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to Yurlok. So first and foremost, I think probably the most popular card that's going to be run in this deck is a card that's been overlooked, maybe. Overabundance out of Invasion. It's an enchantment. It's for 1, a red and a green. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 additional mana to his or her mana pool of the same type, and Overabundance deals 1 damage to him or her. Pretty sweet. So, you know, I'm thinking like you have your commander out, you got Yurlok out, play Overabundance. Now everybody is forced to make double mana. And sure, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? So like they get to kind of ramp, but at the same time, they have to make use of that ramp efficiently in order to not take mana burn. So, you know, pretty sweet.
Real quick question. Just for the viewers out there who might be listening and not watching, tell us what Yurlok does.
Oh, you don't know?
I do know. I do know. Well, I don't know if you know. Maybe you do.
My bad. So Yurlok is a 1 and a Jund commander. So 1, a black, a red, and a green. Legendary, the Shino Shaman. It's got vigilance and the ability of a player losing unspent mana causes that player to lose that much life. So mana burn, basically. And then it has another ability of pay 1 colorless and tap it. Each player adds a black, a red, and a green to their mana pool. It's on a 4/4 body. So just by himself, he can cause 3 points of burn. It's like basically tap at the end of your opponent's turn, tap, add 3 to everybody's mana pool, everybody loses 3 life. You know?
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet exchange there, just on its own.
I will note, it's interesting they put a counter to this card in this set. Because I wasn't sure it would work, and that's why I wanted you to reread it. Because it should actually read that way. And that's the Horizon Stone, that artifact that's 5, kind of like Krufix. Unspent mana becomes colorless, doesn't leave your pool. You don't actually lose that mana, therefore you wouldn't burn from it, which is
correct. Yeah,
interesting
correct.
to note, that's all.
Yeah, so those cards you're going to want to play in this deck. Like the Leyline Tyrant, the new dragon that just came out from one of the most recent sets.
From Zendikar. The Horizon Stone, of course.
Horizon Stone. There's a few other ones out there that let you keep mana.
But you couldn't play Omnath. You couldn't run in the. Is he green?
Green?
Yeah, he's green. Yeah, you could run Omnath. You couldn't run Krufix. That's who I'm thinking of.
Right,
because he's blue.
Yeah, you can run the green Omnath. So there's a few guys that can help you save up all your mana while your opponents are draining the rest of their swamps and burning. So first of all, let's get to the pricing on this bad boy. TCG is $5 on the market.
This is Overabundance we're talking about.
Overabundance. Yeah. TCG is $5 on the market, $5.75 mid. Card Kingdom, out of stock at $3.49. Star City Games, no near mint copies at $3.99, but they do have some played versions at $3.25. And Channel Fireball, also out of stock, $3.70. So it is noted that there's quite a few copies on TCG Player, but not a whole lot. So I'd say like kind of a midway of availability for near mint copies. But bulk listings, however, near mint bulk listings, lowest is $6.78. You can get them for as low as $4 moderately played and $5.50 lightly played. But only 4 listings for bulk is It's not very many.
Yeah.
Not very many out there. Also, since November 1st, overabundance has jumped over 400%. When we started the month, this card was at like $1.
Yeah.
You know, $1.30.
This is all from Yurlok.
Yeah. So a pretty big jump already. And if Yurlok stays the course and becomes fairly popular, we could see this go up even more. And especially, this is not a card, I don't think, that Wizards has any intent of reprinting for any reason.
It's from Invasion. I really don't suspect a reprint on this. They've got other ones that do, well, not the same, similar enough that I don't think they're going to go that route again. I could be wrong, but
probably not though. So this, to me, if you can get them on the lower end, if you got, like myself, I like to go to local game stores and find the treasures in the boxes that haven't been through in years. This is one to look out for. And even at $5 to pick it up right now, pretty good deal. Because it's just a sweet card, you know.
Mm-hmm. So on to the next one here. This is also a sweet card that saw a recent reprint in Double Masters, and that's Heartbeat of Spring.
Yeah.
And it's an enchantment for a 3 and 2, and whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of any type that land produced. So essentially Mana Flare, but green. Now, TCG currently is $1.21 for the market, with a mid of $1.24, with Card Kingdom at 59 cents, Star City Games at $1.49, and Channel Fireball at 60 cents. And I find the huge spread between these kind of surprising. It's kind of weird. But clearly, you know, Card Kingdom and Channel Fireball are where you want to look at to pick these up if you're going for bulk. Now, granted, it was just recently reprinted, Double Masters, but it's a solid card. Now,
it is worth noting that the Kamigawa OG version of this is still sitting around $5 or $6. Now, it was more than that before it was reprinted in Double Masters, but you know, this card does have a place in Commander. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. And typically, you know, if you're able to use that mana better than your opponents, or if your opponents can't use it and it causes them to burn, baby, all the better. So, as you can see, this is a definite good pick and choice for Yurlok Holmes.
And while we're on that train, we'll go ahead and talk about Mana Flare too, because Mana Flare is also, it's exactly the same card, just in red. 2 in a red to cast it instead of 2 in a green enchantment. So the cheapest one out there is the 4th edition version. TCG Market has them for $6.27. Mid is $6.98. Card Kingdom has them for $8.99. Star City Games is out of stock on near mint copies for $4.99, but you can get played and lower available. And then Channel Fireball only has one available at $7.30 light played. Now, if you get into like revised, unlimited, alpha, beta, you know, 4 and black border, 4th edition, that kind of stuff, it starts going up a little bit. But
now, granted, if you can get an alpha beta unlimited for a really good price, do that. I'm not going to argue that as a bad idea. However, if you're looking for this as a card to play or a card to flip, most people aren't going to be looking to buy that high-end version. They're going to be looking for what's available, the least cost version they can put in their decks, namely their Yurlok decks. Henceforth, the 4th edition's your best bet at current.
Yeah. So I had Dictate of Karametra on this list, and I don't know that this is... It's basically, again, the same effect as everything else we're talking about here. The only difference is it costs 3 and 2 green for an enchantment, and it has flash. So while it's the same card, but it costs more, it does have flash. So while Mana Flare and Heartbeat of Spring, your opponents can take advantage of the double mana before you can, presumably. With Dictate, you can flash it in at the end of your opponent's turn, and then you have the first chance to take advantage of it. So, it does cost a couple of mana more, but, you decide if it's worth it or not. I don't know. You can pick them up fairly cheap for about $1, pretty much everywhere. It's just a sweet card to add in the deck. I don't know that we're going to see any kind of jump on it. This was just in kind of my preliminary list, and I decided on the fly just now that it's really not worth.
Well, the one thing I found that the original Theros block cards are a lot harder to invest in because there just seems to be such a huge supply. Mm-hmm. And we're talking, this includes one we have had on the show, which is Swan Song, which I still swear by, but that's because it's in over 40,000 decks. It's a staple of EDH and has only seen a couple reprints. But even that has kept, being that it's from the Theros block, has kept the price suppressed overall. Because I do feel that card would be following the Flusterstorm cost or similar to, and be at that $15 to $20 mark if it didn't have such a large supply from that initial print run.
For sure.
But
so
that being said, it's still not a bad card to add to your Yurlok because redundancies are always a good option in EDH.
For sure. So for the last card we got for Yurlok and the last card of the day is War's Toll, out of most recent printing in Battle Bond, but originally printed in Dissension.
Blue hates this card. Tell them what it does.
Blue does hate this card so much, but I think most decks probably hate this card, honestly.
Yeah, it kills interaction.
Yeah.
You choose one or the other. You don't get both.
Yeah, so for 3 and a red, you get an enchantment that says whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, tap all lands that player controls. If a creature an opponent controls attacks, all creatures that opponent control attacks, if able.
It's that first line we're really thinking about here, though.
The first line is what we're really thinking about. The second line is just kind of an added bonus. You are playing Jund, so you probably have access to pretty efficient creatures. So it shouldn't be too bad for you. But that first line is interesting. So there's kind of a caveat here where, yes, your opponent has to tap all their mana if they tap 1 mana. Or not mana, but lands. And technically, no, they don't have to tap those lands for mana. But if they want to play a 1 or 2 drop something, and they've got 8 lands out, they've got to pay 8 mana basically for a 2 mana spell. Most people don't like doing that. So most likely what they're going to do is, I don't know, tap all their lands for mana, and float it so that they can use it for the rest of or until the next phase ends. But if they do that, then, burn, baby.
I always loved this card's interaction with cards like City of Brass.
Yeah.
Because with City of Brass, you just take the pain anytime it gets tapped. Anything taps that City of Brass, you're getting hurt for it. Mm-hmm. I always found that kind of amusing.
Yeah. And there's other cards, too, out there that I would add to this deck that say whenever a player taps a land, they take a point of damage.
Mana Barbs, Mana Purge. Remember. There's some red enchantments.
Mana Barbs. I believe it's Mana Barbs, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, another good ad, but fairly expensive already. And I think it's on the reserve list.
I cannot recall. I think it was in 4th edition, though. Well, that doesn't mean it's not reserve list.
Yeah. So while you're looking that up, TCG Market has this for $2.19 with a mid of $2.50. Card Kingdom has them for $2.29. Star City Games, best value at 99 hot cents, and Channel Fireball for $2.30. you know, there's low print runs on Battle Bond. There's low print runs on Dissension. I believe that this card has a chance of going up. It's not played very heavily right now, but red is one of the least played colors in Commander, next to white. So, you know, maybe there's definitely room for this card to grow for sure.
And a real quick update on Mana Barbs. It's not reserve list. It was printed most recently, I believe, in M12. The cheapest is 10th edition, which is around $1. So it's pretty inexpensive. It's 4 mana, red and 3 enchantment. Whenever mana is drawn from a land, it deals 1 damage to the land's controller. So that's another way that kind of theme-wise fits into. Now, it has had multiple reprintings, about 8 or 9 between core sets up till M12. But yeah, that's an affordable option as far as Yurlok is concerned if you want to build in that direction. And just hurt people for tapping their lands, hurt people for not tapping their lands, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's Yurlok. I'm pretty excited to start brewing with this guy because there's just so many possibilities, so many directions. Well, there's only one direction you can go, but there's
burn, baby, mana burn.
So many options out there for the other adds to the deck, you know, to make it as fun and crazy as you want, you know. So pretty excited for that.
Yeah, I'm kind of wanting to get to Araumi and start building around Araumi. Even though she's only an uncommon commander, I think she's really strong. Yeah, and I think she's really fun. And I don't have a Dimir deck. I have 34 EDH decks, and none of them are Dimir, which I find honestly kind of criminal since it's my favorite color pairing in Magic. And I don't have a Dimir deck, and I have my binders are overflowing with Dimir cards, literally overflowing. They won't fit in their slots anymore. I have too many because I don't have any decks to put them in. I'm like, maybe, although Arami's still not straight Dimir, but I can work with the surveil mechanic. I can maybe put something together that's kind of different from my traditional, more traditional decks that I would build around and still ETBs, but work with surveil and Dimir. Could be fun. I don't know.
For sure.
Everyone else watching, who's your favorite commander to build around from Commander Legends? And what are some of your favorite cards? Let us know in the comments what you're excited about, what interests you, what are you just like Commander Legends? I don't care about it. All I care about is Jumpstart or whatever it is that you're passionate about. Let us know in the comments. But I'm betting if you're watching this, you're probably pretty keen on this new set. So share what you're loving from it. Share what you're worried about from it. If you've got panic about reprints affecting the market, whatever, let us know. And if you've liked what you've seen on here, if you like us talking about more specific, like we did on this breakdown of cards to go with commanders from new sets, and you like that format, maybe we'll revisit it. Again, let us know in the comments. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, please like and share this. But don't just share it anywhere. Well, I mean, you can, but...
Yeah, you could share it with your mommies, your daddies, your sisters, your cousins, your brothers, your uncles, your aunties, your third nephew, twice removed from Uncle Leo down at the hardware store. He was selling knockoff hammers at Ace Hardware for 20 years, but now he's just Joe Blow on the side of the road because of the pandemic.
What's he doing? Oh, never mind.
He's not blowing Joe. He's Joe Blow.
Gotcha.
On the side of the road,
right.
Because the pandemic has there's shut down all the small businesses. So guys, visit your LGSs. Go in there and say, have you guys heard of Commanding the Market on YouTube?
And while you're there, pick something up. If they don't know, though,
say yes.
Yeah. And make them subscribe and then buy something.
Yes.
No, guys, seriously, support your local game stores. Right now, they really need it. Because we all want to get back in person playing games. But in order for that to happen, these LGSs need to survive. So do what you can to support them in whatever way you can, even if it's just once a week picking up a booster, whatever you can do, sharing information to other players about LGSs they should visit, whatever. Do what you can to support your local game store.
For sure.
With that in mind, y'all, we appreciate you watching. We look forward to hearing from you in the comments about whether you liked this format with the cards to go with specific commanders, new cards. Let us know what you think. And again, we appreciate you watching. Until next time,
keep commanding the market.
Peace.